It's my great pleasure to introduce this panel, which, as many of you know, I actually don't know how accurate the program is. It usually isn't accurate. But these are responses to this particular book, which you can find, Greg, somewhere over there if you want to buy it. The book is called Wobblies and Zapatistas, Conversations on Anarchism, Marxism, and Radical History. And these are conversations between Stoughton Lind and myself. Stoughton Lind is a radical pacifist. He's something of he's a legendary American dissident, let me describe him like this. He's a pacifist, he's a Marxist, he's many other things. And he is, before anything else, a remarkable human being. And this book, one of the reasons to write this book was to celebrate this amazing life of struggle of Stoughton Lind and try to understand the lessons, and especially in the context of understanding the relationship, uneasy relationship, between anarchism and Marxism. This panel will thematize exactly this problem, contradictions, possible relationships, and maybe even a possible synthesis of the kind that we actually suggested in this book between anarchism and Marxism, understood as two different traditions. My name is Andrej Grubačić. I used to describe myself as 50% anarchist, 50% IWW, and 100% from the Balkans. So I won't apologize for my immigrant English. But I'm going to introduce first Žiga Vodovnik, also a fellow from the Balkans, from Slovenia, who is one of the, well, in the Balkans, definitely most interesting scholars of anarchism. He is teaching at the University of Slovenia, Fakultet društvenih veda, Ljubljana, and he also edited a book called Jabasta, published by AK Press, collection of Subcomandante Marcos and other Zapatista writings. Then we have Denis O'Hearn, who wrote an absolutely remarkable book about Bobby Sands, an unfinished song, book about the hunger strike, book that relates in many important ways to what we try to do with Wobblies and Zapatistas, and that is why Denis actually wrote an introduction to Wobblies and Zapatistas. And Denis is, if I may say, Marxist, and unapologetic one, and we are going to try to make him apologize for this in the course of the panel. And finally we have Cindy Milstein, who is of, I'm sure many of you know Cindy from previous left forums or anarchist gatherings, one of the board members of the Institute for Anarchist Studies, a person who was extremely important in one of the most significant anarchist experiments institutions in the history of U.S. anarchism, which was the Institute for Social Ecology. So I would like to welcome you all and welcome our panelists and so let me begin by saying a few words of introduction. Emanuel Wallerstein, a sociologist whom I actually Marxist, but I like him a lot. He wrote a recent article in The Nation magazine. I don't know if you have been to The Nation, the recent Reimagining Socialism forum. It's an interesting forum. So Emanuel wrote that there are two crises for the American left that the American left needs to take into account. First crisis is the crisis in the short run. That's the crisis, he calls it depression, that's going to get far worse in the next 2 years. People are going to get jobless, homeless, and the left needs to find a way of articulating some kind of a position, some kind of a way of interacting with these people. Secondly, he's identifying something that he's calling the end of capitalism, the disintegration of capitalism conceived as a historical system. And he thinks that for this particular stage, for this particular context, which is a world context, of course, we need to have a strategy. We need to have a program, we need to have a plan, we need to have thousands of different experiments. Because this is not a nation-state crisis, it's a crisis of capitalism as a world system. Speaking of United States, he was making a following argument. In the United States, we have a leftist president. He is a president on the, well, let's call it centrist left president, right? His name is Obama. He's very similar to a guy in Brazil whose name is Lula. Lula has MST, Movimento Sem Terra, one of the most impressive social movements in the world, landless workers of Brazil. They're pushing him to the left all the time. So according to Emmanuel, the thing that we need to do here in the United States is to push leftist President Obama, or centrist President Obama, to the left. You will notice that something is absent here. The thing that I find to be absent from Emmanuel's analysis is that we don't have anything remotely like Movimento Sem Terra in the United States. I actually don't think that we have a movement in the United States. I would be very skeptical to say if we have left in the United States. And what we have in the United States, aside from many courageous people, some of them actually just coming into the room right now, many wonderful people, we actually have something that might be called, well, we have Left Forum, right? And what is a Left Forum? Left Forum is a group of, well, how shall I put this politely? Academic intellectuals, right? So I went to the opening panel and I suffered something that might be described as a disturbing experience, right? So one speaker, who actually is a professor at the Department of Sociology in Berkeley, said that we need an activist government. Activist government means, well, I don't know what it means, but in any case, the idea is that the worst problem that the United States have is this anti-authoritarian legacy. Those things like whiskey rebellions, you know, this anti-authoritarian things, this idea that state is somehow bad, that's the worst problem for the American left. But Obama brings a new day. Somehow, according to the sociologist, it happened that Americans understood the state to be an enemy, to be un-American, and we need to change that. Well, listen, I do believe that state is un-American, and I do believe that Haymarket anarchists, I believe that IWW, Wobblies are very much American, for a simple reason that they were never American to begin with. They were all immigrants. They belong, this whole experience of Wobblies, Haymarket anarchists, they belong to all of us, to an international community of struggle, where, according to Tom Paine and Pietro Gori, our country is the world, and when our country is the world, there can be no bosses, no borders, no gods, no masters, and certainly no activist governments. Saying an activist government, that reminds me of a pacifist cancer or something like that. I don't know what it means, and I'm not really sure if I want to know what it means. Then we had a very illustrious guest who was speaking about, from a global perspective, about the great peril of global social democracy, or GSD for short. Then there was, against this, there was a progressive perspective, or PP for short. So we have to choose between GSD or PP. The way to go to PP is to create a political party. Now, we kind of tried that in history, but nevertheless, the idea was, and this was my second panel at the Left Forum, that we actually need to, and this is a quote, we need to make people listen to us. How can we make people listen to us? Well, we need to organize an electoral party and then talk to people. Another speaker after that said that it's very heartening that people agree on creating a new socialist party. I think it's heartening to the point of a heart attack. The idea of the left, the thing that we have as a left today, reminds me of, I don't know if you like popular culture, that movie Da Vinci Code. There is a character by the name of Silas. There is this incredible capacity for masochism that we have on the left. And this infantile statism that's re-emerging again and again and again and again, and places where academic left tends to meet, like Left Forum, is extremely dangerous. And actually I was thinking about speaking today about anarchism and Marxism as one big happy family. And I might still do that. But my big problem is that there is this anti-authoritarian Marxism. Authoritarian Marxism, bureaucratic socialism. It is coming back. And we now, in the times of crisis, have to be very serious about this. Again, Emmanuel Wallerstein says that we need to push Obama to the left. I think it's irrelevant. What we need to do is to create a movement. We need to create a community of struggle. We need to be serious about creating this movement. I do actually believe that we need strategy. I do believe that we need vision. I do believe that we need something that might be called a program, not in an old left kind of a bureaucratic, boring sort of a way, but something else.